Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
My name is Dr. Clare Anyiam-Osigwe. I hail from Islington, central London, in the United Kingdom. So it's amazing to be talking to you, Gertrude, all the way in Melbourne, Australia, and everybody rest of the world who's listening in and tuning in. I am 39. I turned 40 in a couple of weeks. And I reached out to Her Story because I really wanted to share my story. I recently became a first-time author. So my book Clarity is a part memoir, part self-help guide, kind of really channeling some of the things that I've learned about myself over the 39 years, and more specifically in the last 10 years as I embarked on moving out of science and back into art, going from being a royally honoured dermatologist to an award-winning filmmaker, TV director. In that time, I became a first-time mum. My daughter Lavender is now 6, and my second daughter Eden is 4. And it was during the pandemic that I was kind of forced, like the rest of the world, to stop. But my journey started 30 days before the pandemic. I actually woke up on my daughter's first birthday, on Lavender's first birthday, to a church full of 200 guests. And sadly, the left side of my face had fallen. I was experiencing facial paralysis. And I think it was that moment that I really understood, I need to stop. This is happening for a purpose, on purpose. And actually, I needed to have more balance in my life. And I think we've all been, especially for women of colour, Black women, African women, in the diaspora and globally, that we sometimes believe that trope of being superwoman and being able to go and hustle and grind, you know, these sort of metrics and unhelpful, to be honest, toxic depictions of what health and success and joy has been sort of fed down to us through mainstream media, through social media, through looking at our white male counterparts. We sometimes, you know, are indoctrinated by this essence that if we stop, we'll be finished, we'll be forgotten. But actually, it's such a feminine stance to take regular rest, regular breaks in and around any financial, environmental, health and well-being, any physical endeavor. And so what I've done in my book is I've kind of created like a quadrant. I love it because it's like the sign of the cross, and I am a Christian woman. And so there's 4 key areas that I really, during 2020, was able to sit down with my journal and analyze. And that was my physical health. So what I put into my body, how I move my body, how I present myself, my mental and spiritual health, how I pray, how I journal, how I take time to really honor the stillness of life and create moments of literal clarity to navigate different endeavors, whether that's being a really present mother, a fantastic and sexy wife, a go-getter in the business world, but also just time for me and my own personal relationships with friends, family, colleagues, and everybody that I encounter in the world. And then that fourth quadrant is your financial life. And for a long time, and I think I learned this whilst I grew up in the care system. So I'm one of 5 children. I'm the third child, the oldest girl. And so I think in African communities, the oldest girl becomes almost like the second mum. And coupled with the fact that I grew up in the care system because my mum had mental health issues, it's fair to say that little Claire was always big Claire. I didn't really have a childhood. I was, I've got a scar. You might not be able to see this very well. I've got a scar on my arm because I was ironing my own uniform when I was 5, and I ironed my skin by accident. I would regularly on a Sunday take my whole family's clothing in what we call a Ghana Musco bag and go to the laundromat to do everyone's washing of clothes. We regularly almost burnt down my mum's kitchen because we'd be frying our own chicken, and we were doing things that really, spoke to negligence of children. But in African society, you're taught from a very young age to be a helpful person, to be, seen and not heard, to do everything that the adults ask you to do. And so what I had done is I had thrown myself into work. Once my father died when I was 9, he died of a diabetic coma, leaving my mum with 5 children in England with no support system, no village. My mum's mental health suffered tremendously. Till this day, she still has schizophrenia. And now coupled with dementia, she goes from her mid-70s into her 80s. And so she was a late mum. So, she had struggled back in Nigeria raising 12, 13 members of her own family, and she was the oldest. So I can see those similarities now that I'm older. But to go back to my childhood, so my dad dies at 9. I'm taken into local authority, the care system, foster care and children's homes by the time I'm 9. And then my mum went into hospital, came back, looked after us again. Then our home broke down again, and my mum was hospitalized again. And then we were permanently taken away. And so I moved into a children's home, which, has the same sort of environment as almost like a juvenile prison. It's lots of young people. You all have your own bedroom. And it's like a fight for survival. There's one living room. It's like a dysfunctional family. You've got to kind of live together and make it work. You have staff members that are almost like prison wardens, and they're just trying to control us young people. But obviously I was very creative, very artistic, very gifted and talented. So I would find my solace in education. And I just said to myself, Claire, if you could just remain educated, stay in school, then you will be able to go to America, you'll be able to make it as an actor director, you'll be able to make it as a makeup artist, and you'll be successful. And then you can leave this England, this Islington behind you, and you can become something new. And I love the feeling of creating characters as a dramatist, and working in theatre as a child, and just creating like a new world. And so one minute you're in your own children's home, and then the next minute I'm playing like a 70-year-old grandma, or I'm playing a little Chinese boy. And I loved what drama and theatre education gave to me, and that level of escapism. So by the time I was 18, I was out of the care system. I was the first person in my family to go to university. I graduated from Brunel with a drama degree. So it was a joint BA. So I was qualified to direct and to act. And then what you notice very quickly in England is that there is no work for young Black talent, especially not 20 years ago. We're definitely doing a lot better now. And you can see a lot of Black Brits over in Hollywood doing well. But 20 years ago, there just was no stories for us. And so I knew that I didn't have a plan B, in the sense, if I didn't give myself a plan B, that there was going to be no bank of mum and dad. I didn't come from a traditional family setting. So I took it upon myself to go into hair and makeup. I became a makeup artist working at department stores. And I then trained and became a biochemist. So I got a doctorate of biochemistry. I created my own skincare brand. The brand is called Pre-May Skincare. It is typically known as the world's first allergen-free beauty company. It was certified as allergy-free in 2012. I launched the company in 2011. And every couple of months, we were winning awards all over the world: America, Africa, New Zealand, in the UK, because my skincare solved a lot of complex skin issues. Excuse me, it's quite cold over here in England. So it solved a lot of complex skin issues. And so, yeah, just to bring it back to that, I was doing that. I was very successful. I was honored by the Queen of England in 2017 for my services to dermatology. And it was actually a year later that I started writing some scripts, because I had a lot of clients coming to me at my private clinic, a lot of African and Asian women, asking me to create a natural skincare range that could brighten their skin, lighten their skin. I've always been staunchly against that, ethically, visually. I love black skin. I love all skin tones, but I think ours is the most beautiful. And I would staunchly discourage them from bleaching, but I would offer them a free facial instead and say, tell me your story. So as they're lying on my treatment bed, they would often be in tears. We'd cry together. There's lots of hugs. I'm massaging them. I'm giving them the facial. And they would reveal to me, like my grandma said, I'm too dark to be beautiful, or my boyfriend just left me for some white girl because he feels that would be more socially acceptable as he's getting more successful. And I thought the common thread of all of these different women is the fact that we as women of color are habitually told to feel less worthy, right? To be led to believe that what we naturally possess is somehow not the standard, not beautiful, ugly, unworthy of love, unworthy of success. And me being me, having, not always the most amount of confidence, but absolutely the biggest amount of self-esteem. The two are not mutually exclusive. My self-esteem always drives me to say, excuse me, who do you think you are? And I think that is my inherent Igbo energy. Like, if you meet an Igbo woman, we are kind of meek, we can be kind of cool, but if you test that strength, please. We're warriors. We don't play those foolish games. Yeah, don't come for my being. Do you get it? If you don't like my dress, you don't like my hair, you don't like so what? But something that is natural to me, like my skin, you can't tell me that my skin is not beautiful. That sentence doesn't make sense to me. So I wrote a script. That script went from a short film script to a feature-length script. I closed my clinic because I knew that I couldn't do the two. And I felt like I was in this zeitgeist moment of tell this story, make it global, change the culture, change the narrative, or stay doing your dermatology where you've reached a lot of goals. You've got the medal from the Queen, you've opened some shops, you've had some success there, and you've changed that narrative of allergy-free vegan. Maybe this is the next frontier for you. So I made that bold decision on the 1st of January. I closed my business 2018. January 19th, we were on set shooting my movie. And that movie, literally, it went everywhere. It was internationally distributed by my husband, Emmanuel, to the UK, to the Netherlands, to America, to Brazil, and to India. So the issue of colorism is a worldwide global issue. The relic of slavery. It's something that is maintained by oftentimes our own ignorance, right? Black people, we really hurt ourselves a lot. And there is that crabs in the barrel mentality of how can I pull the next person down? How can I get a leg up by bringing you down? And that metaphor and that ideology, that I'm just completely against that. So I did that.
Let's dive into you and doing all of these amazing things. You hit rock bottom, though. You suffered burnout.
I did.
So share a bit about your experience with burnout.
Absolutely. Well, this is exactly the moment. So the year-long theatrical release of No Shade, I didn't really take a maternity leave. When you're self-employed in the UK or anywhere in the world, I guess your business is 24/7, and this is what I was getting at. When I talk about that hustle culture, it's like, look, they want to show the film in the Netherlands, right? Let's put a budget together. Let's put the baby on our back. Let's jump on a plane. And it's like, yeah, you're winning. Like, you're enjoying that success. You're making some money. Like, as a filmmaker, obviously, it's a business. The businesses that you invest, and then you want to make your money back and then some, because you need to pay everyone back that put some money in. And so we're doing that. We're making our money back. Things are going really well. But actually, my home life is suffering. Like, the baby room wasn't set up really, really well to accommodate a new human being in our home. My physical, I was snacking. I wasn't really doing a lot of the deep nutrition that I had actually taught my clients at pre-med. Yeah. But when it comes to you can go, child, just take some snacks and keep going. So we can be unkind to ourselves. We can do ourselves down. We can preach to others, take rest, be healthy, slow down. But when it comes to yourself, you sometimes are the last person to take care of yourself. And so, like I said, that was 2018 into 2019. Lavender was born 2019. So we're still doing this theatrical release. And then 2020, I wake up on her first birthday. I have this facial paralysis. I've got gout in my knee. I've got gingivitis in my teeth. It's like God was just like, I'm going to come at you from every direction because you are not listening. 6 months prior, I had a bad knee and it was like, oh, it's gout. What does that mean? Yeah, don't drink as much alcohol. Because, you know, when you go to these film events, you're drinking, cheers, it's all celebration. But without proper nutrition, you're breastfeeding. So, I transition from the breast to the bottle. You know, so you're very careful about when you do these things. But again, that's a lot of sustenance. That's a lot of taking time out of the physical body. I didn't rest. And I think what happened is I needed to shut down, burn out. Like I'm saying literally to you now, Gertrude, like that's terrible that I needed that burnout to check my whole life. Because without it, I was just running on empty. It was inevitable. I genuinely believe, because I had no blueprint from a mother, a father, a mentor, a someone to say, Claire, this is not it. You can be successful. You are successful. You're an overachiever. Allow yourself to rest. Like, taking a year out of your whole life is not a long time. But if you think about the way we interact on the internet, and we can't even not check our phone for 20 minutes without feeling like, oh, what did I miss out? Oh, let me scroll back up. Oh, who said what? What's going on? And so 2020, my phone was stolen out of my hand in broad daylight. Again, God's saying, girl, I told you, put the phone down, phone's out. Someone's got your phone now. So I had this terrible iPhone 5, couldn't get on the apps. All it could do. Yeah, it was like an old burner phone. It was terrible, but it was perfect what I needed there and then. And so
what role does mindset play in overcoming burnout?
Mindset is the motherboard, like it's the computer, because if you don't discipline your mind can actually become your worst enemy.
Yes.
The mind will tell you, eat the slice of cake because it tastes good. Like, why wouldn't you? Stay up all night because then you've used the 24 hours of the day. Sleep's for weak people. In fact, sleep when you're dead. Like, why would you even sleep during your life when you can send another email or write another book? Like, you're wasting your time with sleep. The mind would tell you, you know, pleasure. The mind is a pleasure seeker, right? So, but pleasure is not discipline. You know, a lot of people who are hugely successful but maintain all of the 4 quadrants of their life, they do a lot of things that are not pleasurable, like lifting weights, going to the gym, choosing a green smoothie over a cocktail, choosing to go to bed at 8 p.m. instead of 1 a.m. Boring. Yeah, well, sorry, I can't come to that event because it finishes at 1 o'clock. And I've
Yes.
2 children who are going to wake up like clockwork at 6 a.m. and I want to be bright and energized and ready to give them their breakfast and talk with them and play with them before they go to school or club or park. So that's where mindset is really, and mental health is about that bargaining power of knowing what's right and training yourself day in, day out to surrender to the right option. Because if you don't, the mind has a mind of its own. It will go against you. And in many times that it does. Yeah.
So how do nutrition and movement support sustainable well-being?
So nutrition, when you think about the body and knowing that 72% of it is water.
Yes.
Just by drinking your 2 liters a day, you're already in harmony physically, right? Because the body is getting that replenishment of fluid that comes out in sweat, that comes out in obviously urination. You need to constantly match it like for like. So if we know that the body is 70% water, feed yourself, 7 hours out of 10 that you're awake, have a glass of water, have that sustenance to refresh yourself. And that water can come in, herbal teas, a smoothie, because majority of the makeup of that drink is water. And then what was the other question that you asked? The other part of the question?
It was movement and nutrition.
Movement and nutrition. So for me, it's almost like a 3-pronged situation: mind, body, soul. The mind, we spoke about that, the body. And then it's such a soulful thing, Gertrude, as a Black woman, when we hear our favorite tune, it doesn't matter whether we're in the supermarket or at a party or a function, we live to rhythm. Black people, everything is a beat, that heartbeat, that physical. So again, fitness and physicality doesn't have to be boring, walking on the treadmill. It can be turning up the tunes on a Sunday afternoon. Everyone in the house is cleaning. Put your Fitbit on, your fitness watch, and actually put on your favorite album or a playlist for an hour and sweat whilst you're deep cleaning your home. That is a form of exercise. Gardening is a form of exercise. Zumba, dance classes, rock climbing. It doesn't have to be, excuse me, like I keep saying, that traditional masculine, I'm going to lift 20 kg and I'm going to run on the treadmill. And actually, you need to work out what is best for your physicality. It's not for everybody to do weights. It's not great for everybody to walk on the treadmill,
So why is it important to shift away from the hustle culture?
Because it's basically the fastest road to death. I feel like if I hadn't have stopped, I might have actually ended up in hospital. And I think actually because of my long-standing knowledge about health, that I pushed to the back of my mind in favor of money, awards, hustle, grind. Come on, Claire, you're 32 now, 33 again. With women thinking that's such an old age, I was told by the midwives at the hospital that, you're 32 now, that's considered a mature mom. And I was like, really? Yeah, so we need to watch you. And so again, all these unhelpful, sometimes Western, depictions of when how young are you or old you are now. And us as women, we have enough on our plate without actually feeling like, oh God, I'm too old now to launch a podcast or to write the story of my life or to birth children. Who has the right to say that to you?
No one. So what do you hope women will take away from your book, Burnout and Beyond? What are the takeaways from this book?
So the takeaways from this book is about checking in, looking at the bird's eye view, because I think sometimes when you're in the stress, when you're in the trouble, it's so easy. You can't see. You're right. You can't see correctly. You see, oh my God, the debts are coming in, the bills are unpaid, the house is dirty. You just see trouble. Whereas actually, if you look down like a bird, like an eagle, and you see your life, and like I say, you have your quadrant, so you see the 4 areas, and what you see is that there's overlap within those areas. So your environment is not just your home, but it's every area that you inhabit. So that could be, and for me, it's church. That is my local gym. That is how I show up, or how I feel when I drop my children off to their school. It's full environments that I come into play with. Yeah. So when you look at your quadrant and you think to yourself on a daily basis, if I can just write 3 things today that I can work on over this week. And if you get through the week, maybe say, okay, if I can work on that on a daily basis, and daily feels a bit too much. Okay, that's stressful. Okay, let's go back to the week. Oh, actually, I'm very time poor this month. Let me go and see if there's 3 things I can work on over this month. It just gives you that really helpful frame of mind.
Yes.
A starting point.
Balance.
Just get that balance to step on the first step of the ladder and go, okay, she's not telling me to just have to get straight to the, to the top floor and jump out the airplane and it's like, no, how can I just sustain myself on that daily basis? And before you know it, you've gone from A to Z.
Yeah. That's so true.
Change that environment for you, change your mindset, go from feeling exasperated and stressed out to actually, I've got this. I tackled that. I paid that bill, I moved house, or I changed the wallpaper. I've stopped going to that gym because the staff there are annoying, or it's dirty, or, it adds a level of stress or pressure. I'm not enjoying it. Do whatever you need to do to have clarity, to have harmony, to have joy. That is our birthright. That is actually our birthright. And that is actually the state of being that we should strive to be in as often as possible.
So let me take you on a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
And we're going to teleport you into the past with the last 2 questions. And then I'll teleport you into the future. So if I could take you back to the younger you, that young woman who was on the brink of burnout, what advice would you give to a woman right now who's currently on the edge of burnout? What nuggets of wisdom can you share?
I would say to myself, stop, look, and listen. And it's very basic, but it's like standing at the traffic light. You can see the traffic going, and you've got the red, you've got the orange, and you've got the green. I would say to myself, ask yourself deeply, are you doing this because, as in, are you going to make your next move, your next decision? Is it really for you, or is it really for them? Do you want to be seen as successful, or do you want to actually be successful? Do you really need to go and achieve this thing right now, or can this thing wait? Because I think a lot of what I was doing before I turned 35 had a bit of like a chip on my shoulder, like, I need to prove them wrong, I need to prove her wrong, they think this about me. And that's harping back to like childhood, people from the children's home, people I lived with, the staff members, the teachers. I want to keep showing them I'll never quit, I'm always going to win, I'm the best, da da da. And actually, like I say, that gets you places, but then you have to get to a certain moment where you say to yourself, but Claire, or you can fill in your own name here and say, but listen, is this really about true fulfillment and advancement, or is this about ego and the fear of not maintaining your public image.
That
And you don't
is,
have to be a celebrity to have a public image. We all have a public image now, thanks to social media, right? Stop
yeah.
trying to maintain a false sense of success and
Mhm.
just be successful.
Yeah. I love that. That is so to the point. My last question for you, I'm teleporting you into the future this time.
Okay.
We are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you.
Oh.
And she's sitting in her rocking chair. Maybe she's on the dance floor. Maybe she's directing another movie. With your energy, I can see you still on your feet and doing your thing. But if I could take you into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would probably say to her, thank you. I think a big thing that I've really, really, really understood since burnout is gratitude and a strong sense of forgiveness of myself and of others that I've perceived, whether they have or haven't, only God knows, to have done me wrong, have betrayed me, have not supported me, all the things that we ruminate on. Let it go. And I know to get to 90, I would have had to do that over and over and over again. So I would say to 90-year-old Claire, thank you. You look amazing, by the way. You look 40 and you're 90. And I would say you were just, you were always the thing. You were always the thing. It was always going to be you. You are you. You are the same 2-year-old baby that was writing your signature on the wall, knowing that you would be someone. Why would you practice your signature on the wall at two years to now 90 years old with all the accolades, all of the business ideas have come together, all the houses, all of the educational institutes, all the ministries that you want to set up? It was always going to happen. Thank you for slowing down. Thank you for going to bed early. Thank you for traveling with the intention of resting and not hustling and working. Because Gertrude, most of my holidays over the last 20 years have always involved work, not so much rest, genuine rest. So thank you for doing that in your later years. And thank you for sticking with radical forgiveness, because I think forgiveness is part of the quadrant of the mental and emotional. A lot of what makes us sick is trying to heal from real or perceived hurt.
Yeah. And holding on to things and
Hold on to things that just don't serve you. Even if they did try and hurt you, bully you, betray you, talk bad about you, wish you ill, why would you even acknowledge it though? Like, that is a waste of life. Look this way, the direction you're going. Keep it moving.
So beautiful.
You know, like, for real, not just captions on Instagram, like, really you kept it moving. Like, look at you. That's amazing.
I love it. I can talk to you forever. Thank you so much for coming online, sharing your incredible story with us today.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. What a fabulous podcast, and your questions are so like a lovely invitation. I do feel like I'm sitting on your couch, by the way.
Good.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is a social impact movement. We're not just a podcast. We bring you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to energize you, to inspire you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. Today, you heard a story that is absolutely incredible, a story of business success in so many different fields, but a story of burnout and not taking care of ourselves. So, if you are feeling run down, if you feel like you're doing too much, sometimes you don't even recognize that you're in the middle of that forest and you just keep going and going and going. Slow down. Take time to smell the roses, to be with your family, to recharge and take care of your body because you only have one. I ended up collapsing with congestive heart failure when I was going through my divorce. So I can relate to everything you shared today, Claire. These are real issues that women are facing every day. So I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thanks again, Claire. And don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.